From cycling to baseball, steroids can be found in almost every sport. Now, steroids are moving into arenas where the stakes are small, but the risks are just as high.
They're going to always be part of powerlifting and bodybuilding and strongman sports like that, but they really have no business, in my opinion, being in baseball and football and these games that kids start out playing in their backyards. The most detrimental thing that a teenager can do is take steroids.
But they are. And Taylor Hooton was one of them.
1, 2, 3, wait!
Taylor was a great kid. Always had a smile on his face, cracking jokes. Very, very popular at school, and he must have been a good-looking kid. Girls over here all the time. But he made great grades in school. He was carrying a 3.8 grade average. He'd made super scores on his SATs, and he and I were getting ready to make college visits.
Taylor Hooton was an average 16-year-old high school student until January 2003. That's when he decided to try out for the varsity baseball team. In less than 3 months, he gained 30 pounds, along with acne, a puffy face, and bad breath, all side effects of steroids. According to the Centers for Disease Control, between 700 and 850,000 teens have used steroids, 1 in 20. According to experts, few teens understand the dangers lurking in a growing steroid market. Today, steroids can be easily purchased online from labs in places like Mexico, Thailand, and India.
We've heard stories of those vials being filled with flaxseed oil, all the way to those vials containing motor oil. And these kids, our children, are taking these and injecting them into the vein.
Soon after Taylor began taking steroids, his personality changed.
But what we saw in Taylor was something that was much more severe than normal mood swing. On 2 occasions, he took his pitching hand and drove it through a sheetrock wall. All of the danger signs, everything we needed to know was right in front of us. But we didn't recognize it as steroids because neither we nor our family doctor had been trained to know what to look for.
While quitting steroids, Taylor slid into a deep depression. On the morning of July 15, 2003, he went into his room, put a belt around his neck, and hanged himself.
Stuff like this is not supposed to happen in middle America, well-educated community. But the fact of the matter is, it is going on.
For Taylor Hooton, steroids exacted a price out of all proportion to his goal. He wasn't aiming for a major league contract or a 7-figure salary. He just wanted what any teen wants, to belong.
After Taylor died, several of the kids in particular that were on Taylor's team admitted to my wife and I that they had been doing steroids. And for a period, most of them were scared straight. But something happened over time, something that's really, really scary. A number of those kids went back to using anabolic steroids within a few weeks after we put Taylor in the ground.
The temptation to use steroids seemed to outweigh the perceived risks. But what could cause a healthy teen to take his own life? The answer lies deep in the brain.
When you take steroids, your hypothalamus in your brain sees all of this steroid coming in from the outside. And so it sends a message down to the testis saying, we've already got plenty of steroids on board, don't manufacture any more, there's ample on supply already.
Overwhelmed, the testes shut down, a condition called hypogonadism. Taylor stopped taking steroids cold turkey, leaving him low on testosterone and high on risk.
They get profound depressions, and they even get suicidal during that period when their testosterone level is low, before the testis can come back online.
In one survey of adults who used steroids, 4% reported attempting suicide during withdrawal. Other experts believe the numbers are far lower, but for Don Hooton, the statistics don't change his reality.
his home run ball from June 16th of 2001, and the reason that's important, it was his first and at the same time his very last home run. I got to go chasing this out in the weeds after he hit it, very much like a dad would do when your kid's just hit his first home run.
Don Hooten now runs a foundation in Taylor's name to protect other teens from steroids. In 2007, Texas passed Taylor's Law, the nation's largest steroid screening program for high school athletes. But today, the fastest growing group of steroid users are not high school students or professional athletes. It's estimated that over 50% of all steroid users are not athletes of any kind.
The more typical steroid user is not someone in the upper levels of athletics and may not even compete in any athletic performance at all, but who uses the drugs largely for the purposes of personal appearance rather than to succeed at any specific competitive endeavor.
A 2007 study suggests that many steroid users may actually be educated working professionals in their 30s. Everyday people turning to steroids just to look better.
My gosh, we're living in a generation of young men and women that have been brainwashed by Madison Avenue to be buffed. We're living in a generation where all they know is instant gratification.
Something they hope steroids can deliver. From Mr. Universe to the boy next door, anybody can be tempted by steroids, even the very best.